screen production of Verdant here in the Black Box. This play takes place in 1950, before any cell phones, flash photography, or handheld cameras were invented. So please, let's not have and disrupt the show. Please observe here we have 2 exits, one from the way you came and one back here behind the curtain. In case of any emergency, please proceed to the nearest exit. Thank you and enjoy our show.
Sorry about that, Miss Koletsky. I'll pick him up.
Oh, it doesn't matter if your books here and there are no consequence.
Startled me. How's Mrs. Hendryk?
The same as usual. She feels the cold. I have a fresh bottle here for her.
Has she been ill for a long time?
5 years.
It's tough going, isn't it?
As you say, it is tough going.
Can't the doctors do anything?
No, she is one of those diseases for which at present there is no cure. Perhaps someday they will discover one. In the meantime, she can never get any better. Every month, every year, she gets a little weaker. She could go on like that for many, many years.
Yes, that is tough. It's tough on him, too.
As you say, it's tough on him.
What was she like when she was young?
She was very pretty. Yes, a very pretty girl, fair-haired and blue-eyed and always laughing.
You know what gets me? I mean, time. What it does to you and how it changes things. It's hard to tell what's real and what isn't. Whether anything is real.
This bottle seems to be real.
The professor said it'd be all right to take anything I wanted.
Oh, of course, if you said so.
He's rather wonderful, isn't he? The professor, we all think so. Everyone's so terrifically keen. The way he puts things, the past just seems to come alive.
He has a very fine brain.
Good luck for us he had to leave his own country and come here. But it isn't only his brain, it's something else.
I know what you mean.
I just feel that when he talks to you, he understands how difficult everything is. Because you can't get away from it. Life is difficult.
I do not see why you should say so.
Beg your pardon?
I do not see why you say, and so many people say, that life is difficult. I think life is very simple.
Oh, come now, hardly simple.
But yes, it has a pattern, the sharp edges, very easy to see.
Perhaps you're some kind of Christian scientist.
No, I'm not a Christian scientist.
But you really think life's easy and happy.
I did not say it was easy or happy. I said it was simple.
I know you're awfully good, the way you take care of Mrs. Hendryk and all that.
I look after her because I like to do so, not because it is good.
What I mean is you could probably get a well-paid job if you tried.
Oh yes, I could get a job quite easily. I'm a trained physicist.
I have no idea of that. But surely someone of your skill ought to get a job, oughtn't you?
How do you mean ought?
Well, what I mean is you looking after Mrs. Hendryk isn't a waste of your ability.
A waste of my training, perhaps yes, but ability. I think that what I'm doing now I do well, and I like doing it.
Yes, but
Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Karl.
Look, spring.
Oh, how lovely.
Ah, so you've come for more books. Good. Let me see what you're taking. Ah, yes, lotion is good. Very sound. And the birth mare, good. Salzin. I must warn you, he is very unsound.
well then perhaps sure I better not.
No, take it. Read it. I warn you out of my own experience, but you must make your own judgments.
I'll remember what you say, sir. Oh, I brought the Loftus back. He's as you said. He really makes one think.
Why not stay and have some supper with us?
That's awfully kind of you, but I have a date tonight.
I see. Well, goodbye until Monday then. Take care of the books.
Oh, I will, sir. Oh, and I'm more sorry than I can say about losing that last one.
Think no more about it. I've lost books in my time, happens to all of us.
You've been awfully good about it. Most people have never let me borrow any more books at all.
Now that would have been foolish. Go on, my boy. How is Anya?
Well, she has been very depressed and fretful this afternoon, but she settled down for a little sleep. I hope she's asleep now.
Then I shall let her rest if she's asleep. My poor darling, she needs all the rest she can get.
I'll just get some water for the flowers.
I've got to tell you, sir, about that last book. I didn't lose it. I sold it.
I see. You sold it.
I never meant to tell you. I don't know why I have. I just felt that you had to know.
You sold it. For how much?
I got £2 for it, £2.
And you wanted the money?
Yes, I wanted it badly.
What did you want the money for?
Well, my mother's been sick for a while, and... No, I'm not going to lie to you anymore. It's rather embarrassing, but... See, there's this girl. I wanted to take her out.
I
and-
see. You wanted to spend it on a girl. Good. Very good indeed.
Good, but...
Oh, so natural. Oh, of course, it was wrong of you to have stolen my book, sold it, and lied to me about it. But if you are going to do a bad thing, I'm glad you do it for a good reason. And at your age, what better reason is there than that? To go out with a girl.
Yeah, I think so. But really, sir, she's pretty marvelous.
And you had a good time on the money.
Well, I mean...
Karl.
So, poor devil. So pleased to have got £2 off of it. The dealer has probably sold it for 40 or 50 pounds by now.
So he won't be able to buy it back.
No.
I don't understand you, Karl. Sometimes it seems to me you go out of your way to let yourself be played upon. You allow yourself to have things stolen from you, to be deceived.
But Lisa, I wasn't deceived.
Well, that makes it worse. Stealing is stealing. The way you go on positively encourages people to steal.
Does it? I wonder.
How angry you make me.
I know. I always make you angry.
That miserable boy.
That miserable boy has the makings of a very fine scholar. A really fine scholar. That's rare, Lisa. That's very rare. There's so many of these boys and girls earnest wanting to learn, but not the real stuff. Lester Cole is the real stuff of which a true scholar is made. You've no idea the difference one Lester Cole makes in a weary professor's life.
Well, I can understand that. There is so much mediocrity.
Mediocrity and worse. I'm willing to spend time on the conscientious plotter, even if he's not very bright. But these people who want to acquire learning as a form of intellectual snobbery, who want to try it on as you try on a piece of jewelry, who want the smattering and only a smattering, who want their food pre-digested, that I won't stand for. I turned one of them down today.
Who's that?
A very spoiled girl. Naturally, she's at liberty to attend classes and waste her time. But she wanted private tuition. special lessons.
Is she prepared to pay for them?
That is her idea. Her father, I gather, is of immense wealth and has always bought his daughter everything she has ever wanted. Well, he won't buy her private tuition from me.
We could do with the money.
I know, but it's not a question of money, Lisa. It's the time. I haven't got the time. There are two boys already, Sidney Abrams' son, you know him, and another one, a coal miner's son. They're both keen, Lisa, desperately keen. I think they've got the stuff in them. But they're handicapped by a bad, superficial education. I've got to give them private time if they're to have a chance. And they're worth it, Lisa. They're really worth it. Do you understand?
I understand that one cannot possibly change you, Karl. You stand by and smile when a student helps himself to a valuable book. You refuse a rich pupil in favor of a penniless one. I'm sure it's all very noble, but nobility doesn't pay the baker, and the butcher, and the grocer.
But surely, Lisa, we are not really so hard up.
No, we are not really so hard up. But we could always...
I'll go to her.
I got the washing. And I got a few more bags for the professor. Oh, he was right out again. You should have just a Fremantle at my last place. Oh, scream blue murder he did if he hadn't got a bag. Oh, always sarcastic to his wife he was. They were incompatible, you know. Oh, he had a secretary. Oh, so sick cat. Now when the divorce came up, oh, I could have told him a thing or two from what I saw. And I would have done so if it wasn't for Mr. Rover. He said, no IV notes, slipped against the wind. Oh, shall I see what it is?
If you please, Mrs. Roper.
Good evening, Mrs. Roper.
It's the doctor.
Good evening, Lisa, my dear.
Hello, Dr. Sterner.
Oh, well, I must be off. We've run out of tea again.
Well, Lisa, how goes it? Has Karl been buying more books again, or is it just my fancy that there are more than usual?
I've forbidden him to buy any more, Doctor. Already there's practically nowhere to sit down.
You have every right to read in the right back. Karl would rather have a book for dinner than a roast beef. How is Anya doing?
Well, she's been very depressed and in bad spirits today. But yesterday she seemed a little better and more cheerful.
Yes, that's how it goes. Is Karl with her now?
Yes.
He's a great man. You realize that these people feel it. They're influenced by it.
He makes his effect, yes.
Now, what do you mean by that, young lady?
There are no fields of amaranth this side of the grave.
Walter Salvage Landing. What's your exact meaning in quoting it, Lisa?
Just that you know, and I know, that there are no fields of amaranth this side of the grave. But Karl doesn't know that. For him, the fields of amaranth are here and now. And that can be dangerous.
Dangerous to him.
Not only to him, to those who care for him, who depend on him. Men like Karl.
Yes?
Oh, I thought I heard your voice, Doctor.
Well, hello, Anya. You're looking very well this evening.
I may look well, but I certainly don't feel it. How can I feel well, cooped up here all day?
But you have that lovely balcony outside your bedroom window where you can see all that's going on around you.
As if there's anything worth looking at going on around me. All of these drab houses and the drab people who live in them. When I think of our lovely little home, and the garden and all of the nice furniture, all of it gone, it's too much, Doctor. It's too much to lose everything that you have.
Oh, come on, Anya. You still have a fine, upstanding husband.
Not such an upstanding husband as he was. Is he? You stoop, Karl, and your hair is gray.
That is a pity, but you shall have to put up with me as I am.
I feel worse every day, Doctor. My back aches, and there's a twitching in this left arm. I really don't think that this last medicine suits me. The drops are all right, the ones that are for my heart, but Lisa only gives me 4 at a time. She says that you say I mustn't take more than that, but I really do feel that perhaps I've gotten used to them.
No. Lisa's carrying out my orders. In fact, that's exactly why I told him not to leave them anywhere near you, in case there happened to be an accident.
I'm sure that it's very well that you don't leave them near me, because if you did, I should take the whole bottle and finish it off.
No, my dear, you wouldn't do that.
What good am I to anyone? Just lying here, ill and a nuisance.
Oh, I know they're kind enough, but they must feel me a terrible burden.
Anya, you are not the burden to me.
Oh, that's what you say, but I must be.
No, you're not.
It's not as though I'm gay or amusing like I used to be. I'm just an invalid now, fretful and
I know, my dear.
Oh,
We'll have to try new time.
Have you seen your flowers, Anya? Karl brought them for you.
spring. I don't want to be reminded of spring in this horrible city. Do you remember we used to go to the woods and pick the wild daffodils? Life was so happy then, so easy. We had no idea what was coming. Now the world is hateful, horrible, all drab gray. Our friends are scattered, most of them are dead, and we have to live in this foreign country.
There are worse things, Anya.
I know you think I complain all the time, but if I were well, I should be brave. Bear it all.
I know, my dear, you have a lot to bear.
You don't know. You're well and strong, and so is Lisa. What have I ever done that this should happen to me?
I know, my dear.
Good afternoon. Could I see Professor Hendryk, please? Miss Rollander, see you, Karl. I do hope you don't mind my butting in like this. I got your private address from Mr. Cole.
Of course not. May I introduce you to my wife, Miss Rollander?
How do you do, Mrs. Hendryk?
How do you do? I am, as you see, an invalid, and I cannot get up.
Of course, dear. I'm so sorry. I do hope you don't mind my coming, but I'm a pupil of your husband's. I've come to consult him about something.
This is Miss Koletsky.
How do you do?
And Dr. Stoner.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Books, and books.
Oh yes, you're very lucky to find a place to sit down. That seat that you're sitting in, I only cleared 5 minutes ago.
Oh, I'm always lucky.
Would you like some coffee?
No, thank you. Professor Hendryk, I wonder if I could speak with you for a moment alone.
I'm afraid our accommodations are rather limited. This is the only sitting room.
Oh, well, I expect you know what I've come here to say. You told me today that your time was so taken up that you couldn't take in any more private pupils. I've come to ask you to change your mind, to make an exception in my favor.
I'm afraid that is not possible, Miss Rollander. My time is absolutely booked up.
You can't put me off like that. I happen to know that after you refused me, you took in Sidney Abrahamson. You preferred him to me. Why?
Well, if you would like an honest answer,
I do. I hate beating around the bush.
it is my belief that Sidney will profit more than you will.
So you think he's got a better brain than I have?
No, I shouldn't say that. He has, shall I say, a greater desire for learning.
I see. So you think I'm not serious. But I am. The truth is, you're prejudiced. You think because I'm rich and because I've been a Deb and done all the silly things that Debs do that I'm not in earnest.
Karl,
But believe me, I am.
I'm not feeling very well right now, Karl. If you'll excuse me, Mrs. Rollander, I'd like to go back to my own room now.
Of course, I quite understand.
My heart is feeling very odd tonight, Arnold.
Yes, we'll leave it in the closet to help you. Karl, could you come back here and give me a hand?
Yes, of course. Excuse me a moment.
Poor Mrs. Hendryk. Has she been an invalid long? 5 years. 5 years? Poor man.
Poor man.
Yes, I was thinking of him dancing attendance on her all the time. She likes him to do that, doesn't she? He's her husband. Yes, he's a kind man, isn't he? But one can be too kind. Pity is weak, don't you think? I'm afraid I'm not in the least kind. I never pity anyone. I can't help it, I'm just made that way. Do you live here too?
I look after Mrs. Hendryk in the flat.
Oh, you poor dear, how awful for you.
Not at all. I like it.
Don't they have household helps or something who go around and do that sort of thing for invalids? I should think it would be much more fun for you to train for something and get a real job.
Oh, there's no need for me to train. I'm already a trained physicist.
Oh, but then you could get a job quite easily.
I already have a job. Here.
Well, Professor Hendryk, can I come?
I'm afraid the answer is no.
But you don't understand. I want to learn. I want to be taught. Oh, please, you can't refuse me.
But I can refuse you, you know.
But why? Daddy will pay heaps if you let me come, double the ordinary fee.
I'm sure your father would do anything you asked him, but it's not a question of money. Lisa, get Miss Rollander a glass of sherry, will you? I must go back to Anya. Excuse me if I go to her now.
No thanks, I don't want any sherry. I'll be going now. I shall get my way, you know. I always do.
Well, that's a very determined young woman.
Yes, she's following up Karl, of course.
This happens fairly often, I suppose.
Oh, yes, I'm remembering rightfully in love myself when I professor of mathematics. He never even noticed me.
Oh, but you are much younger than this girl.
Yes, he knows. I don't think so.
So he's used to it, you mean?
Well, he's not used to it from quite that type of girl. Most of his students are really a rather unattractive lot. But this girl, she has beauty and glamour and money, and she wants him very badly.
So you are afraid.
No, I'm not afraid. Not for Karl. I know what Karl is. I know what Anya means to Karl and always will. If I am afraid...
Yes.
Oh, what's it?
The lady has left us.
That is a very beautiful young woman, Karl. Are most of your students like that?
Fortunately, no. Or we'd have more complications than we have already.
Then you must be careful, my boy. You must be careful.
I am careful. I have to be.
And if you do decide to tutor the girl, make sure Lisa stands in as a chaperone. Good night, Lisa.
Good night, Doctor. I better go to Anya.
No. She said you'd like to be left to rest a while. I'm afraid it upset her, that girl coming.
Yes, I know.
It's the contrast between her life and the other. And she says she gets so jealous, too. She's always afraid I'm going to... You can say that.
It might happen.
Never. And you know it. Why do you stay with us? Why do you stay with us?
You know perfectly why I stay.
I think it's wrong for you. I think maybe you should go back.
Go back? Go back where?
There's nothing against you, and there never was. You could go back and take up your old post. They'd leap at a chance of having you.
Perhaps, but I don't want to go.
But perhaps you should go.
Should go. Should go. What do you mean?
This is no life for you.
It's a life I choose.
I think it's wrong for you. I think maybe you should go back. Go away. Have a life of your own.
I have a life of my own.
You know what I mean. Marry. Have children.
I do not think I should marry.
Not if you stay here, but if you go away.
Do you want me to go? Answer me. Do you want me to go?
No, I do not want you to go.
No, let's talk about it.
Do you remember the concert in Karl that day? It was August and very hot. An immensely fat soprano sang the Liebestod. She didn't sing it very well either. Neither of us were impressed. You were wearing a green coat and skirt and a funny little velvet hat. It's odd, isn't it? When one remembers what one shall never forget. I don't remember what happened the day before that, or the day after for that matter. But I remember that afternoon very well. The gold chairs, the platform, the orchestra wiping their foreheads, and that fat soprano bowing and kissing her hand. And then they played the Rachmaninoff piano concerto. Do you remember, Lisa?
Of course.
I can hear it now. Now who's that? Good afternoon. Is Professor Hendryk in?
Yes, we can listen, please.
Professor Hendryk, my name is Rollander.
How do you do?
How do you do?
This is Miss Koletsky.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Professor Hendryk, I have a daughter who studies under you.
Yes, that is so.
She feels that the attending of lectures in your class is not sufficient for her. She would like you to give her extra private tuition.
I'm afraid that is not possible.
Yes, I'm aware that she has approached you on the issue, and that you have refused. But I should like to reopen the subject, if I may.
Certainly, Sir William, but I do not think you shall alter my decision.
Well, I should first like to understand your reasons for refusing. They are not quite clear to me.
They are quite simple. Please, do sit down. Your daughter is very charming and intelligent, but she is not, in my opinion, the stuff of which a true scholar is made.
Isn't that a rather arbitrary decision?
I think you are of the belief that learning is something you can stuff into a person as you put stuffing in a turkey. Perhaps it would be easier to understand if it were a question of musical talent. Say your daughter had a pretty and tuneful voice and you took her to a voice teacher wanting her trained for opera. Any honest and conscientious teacher would tell you that your daughter's voice was not suitable for opera, would never be suitable with all the training in the world.
Well, you are the expert. I must, I suppose, bow to your ruling on that.
Do you yourself believe that she wants to take up an academic career?
No. Quite frankly, I do not think so. But she thinks so, Professor Hendryk. And shall I put it as simply as this? I want my daughter to have whatever she wants.
A common parental weakness.
As you say, a common parental weakness. But my situation, however, is more uncommon than most parents. I am, as you may or may not know, a very rich person, to put it simply.
I am aware of that, Sir William. I do read the newspapers. I believe it was only a few days ago that I read of the exotically equipped luxury car you were having specially built as a present for your daughter.
Oh, that probably seems to you foolish and ostentatious. The reasons behind it, let me tell you, are purely business ones. Helen's not even particularly interested in the car. Her mind is at the moment set on more serious subjects. That's something of a change, for which I am thankful. She's run around for a few years with a group of people I don't particularly care for. People that she seems to want to go in for serious study, and I am behind her 100%.
I can quite understand your point of view.
I'll tell you a little more, Professor Hendryk. Helen is all that I have. Her mother died when she was 7 years old. I love my wife, and I've never married again. All that I have left is Helen. And I've always given Helen every single morsel thing she's ever wanted.
That was natural, I'm sure, but has it been wise?
Probably not, but it's become a habit of mine now. And Helen's a fine girl, Professor Hendryk. I dare say she's made her mistakes. She's been foolish. But that's the only way you can learn from life is through experience. Spanish have a proverb. Take what you can get from life and pay for it, says God. That's sound, Professor Hendryk. Very sound.
The price may be high.
Helen wants private tuition from you. I want to give it to her. I am prepared to pay your price.
It is not a question of money, Sir William. I'm not in the market for the highest fees I can get. I have a responsibility to my profession, and my time and energy are limited. I have 2 boys already, poor boys, but they rate higher in priority with me than your daughter. You will forgive me for speaking frankly.
I can appreciate your point of view, but I am not so insensitive as you may think. But in my belief, Professor Hendryk, and I'm a businessman, every man has his price.
You are entitled to your opinion.
Your wife is, I believe, suffering from disseminated sclerosis.
Yes, but how do you know?
When I approach a business proposition, a disease, Professor Hendryk, is one about which very little is known. It responds to palliatives, but there are no known cures. And although the subject may go on living for many years, complete recovery is unknown. That, I believe, speaking in non-medical terms, is more or less correct.
Yes, that is correct.
But you may have heard of a sensational new treatment started in America, of which there are great hopes. I don't convince you with any kind of medical knowledge or accuracy, but I believe a new, expensively produced antibiotic has been found to have an appreciable effect on the course of the disease. It is at present incurable in England, but a small quantity of the drug, or whatever you call it, few specially selected cases. I have influenced that direction, Professor Hendryk. The Franklin Institute, where this work is taking place, will accept your wife as patient if I exert my influence there.
Bribery and corruption.
Just as you say, bribery and corruption. Not personal bribery, it wouldn't work in your case. You would turn down every financial offer I made you. But can you afford to turn down the chance of your wife recovering her good health and strength?
You are quite right, Sir William. I will accept your daughter as a pupil. I will give her the utmost care and attention as I would my best pupil. Does this satisfy you?
It will satisfy her. She's the kind of girl who doesn't take no for an answer. Well, You have my word for it that when they are ready at the Franklin Institute, 2 months' time, it only remains for me to hope that the treatment may be as successful as these reports in America seem to bring in, and that I may congratulate you in a year's time on your wife recovering her good health and strength. By the way, my daughter is waiting down in the car to hear the result of my embassy. Do you mind if she comes up for a moment? I know she'd like to thank you.
Certainly, Sir William.
Good night, Julian.
Good night.
So, the girl went.
Do you think I should have refused?
No.
Anya suffered so much already. For sticking to my principles, I was turned away from the university and home. She never understood why. She couldn't really see my point of view. It always seemed to her that I acted foolishly and quixotically. She suffered through it far more than I did. And now, there's a chance for recovery, and she must have it.
What about those 2 students? Will one of them have to go to the wall?
Of course not. I can make time. I'll stay up late at night and do my own work.
You're not as young as you were, Karl. You're already overworking yourself.
Those 2 boys mustn't suffer.
If you have a breakdown, everybody will suffer.
Then I mustn't have a breakdown. It's fortunate that no principals are involved here.
Very fortunate for Anya.
What do you mean by that, Lisa?
Oh, nothing really.
No, I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm a very simple man.
Yes, that's what's so frightening about you.
Anya's late.
No, I'll go to her. Your new pupil will want to see you.
You do believe that I have done right.
What is right? How will we ever know until we see the result?
The door was open, so I came straight in. Is that all right?
Of course.
I do hope you're not angry. I dare say you feel I'm not much good as a scholar, but the truth is I've never had any proper training. Only a silly sort of fashionable education. But I will work hard.
Good. Then we shall commence a serious life of study. I can lend you books. You will take them away and read them. Then, at an hour that we have fixed, you will come back, and I shall ask you certain questions as to the conclusions that you draw from them. Do you understand?
Yes. Should I take them now?
Yes, that is a good idea. You will need to get these. Let us see. Yes, Lequente is good. And a possible word for. Do you read German?
I know a little hotel German.
You must study German. It is impossible to get anywhere without knowing French and German thoroughly. You should study German grammar and composition 3 days a week. I'm afraid the books are rather heavy.
I should say they are. It looks rather difficult. You want me to read all of this?
I should like you to read it through with a special attention to chapters 4 and chapter 8.
I see.
Shall we say next Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock?
Here?
No.
I really am grateful. I am indeed. Please don't be against me.
I'm not against you.
You are. You feel you've been bullied into this by me and my father, but I'll do you credit.
Then that is understood. There's no more that needs to be said.
It's sweet of you, very sweet. I'm grateful. Wednesday at 4?
Take it off!
But Lisa, it's the Rachmaninoff. You and I have always loved.
I know, that's why I can't bear it just now. Take it off!
You know, Lisa. You've always known.
Don't, we've never said anything.
But we've known, haven't we?
Anya's asking for you.
Yes, of course. I'll go to her.
As we touch the will you see fond of fun and tongue can be when it's on tricky feet. I'm not too young, I'm not too old.
Roper, please.
Oh dear. I've dropped another stitch. That's 2 stitches now.
I'll pick them up for you.
Oh, it's useless trying to knit. Look at my hands. They can't keep still.
Oh, well, life's a vale of tears, they do say. Did you read that piece in the paper this morning? 2 young girls drowned in a canal. Oh, lovely children they were. Oh, I'll get the tea, shall I?
If you please. There.
Did you read that piece in the paper this morning? 2 young girls drowned in a canal. Oh, lovely children they were. Oh, I'll get the tea, shall I?
If you please. There. That's all right now.
Shall I ever get well again? I want so much to get well again.
Oh, of course you will, dearie, of course you will. Oh, never say die. Oh, my Joyce Addis. Oh, you did something shocking. Oh, doctor says it'll grow out of it, but I don't know myself. Oh, I'll do the budget now, shall I? We'll be ready for you when the doctor comes.
Please, Mrs. Roper.
You better go, Lisa, or you'll be late.
If you would like me to stay.
Oh, of course not. Your friends are only here for 1 day, and you must see them. It's bad enough being a helpless invalid without knowing that you're spoiling a
Please!
Mrs. Roper! Mrs. Roper! Do you mind? The professor is trying to work.
Do you remember our little Mitzi?
Yes, Mitzi.
Such a nice, willing little maid and such pretty manners. Oh, and she was always laughing and made such wonderful pastry.
Oh, she did.
There, I'm all ready for my lecture.
I should.
Lisa, someday, darling, you will be well and strong.
No, I shan't. You talk to me as though I were a child or an imbecile. But I'm ill. I'm very ill, and I grow worse and worse. You all pretend to be so bright and cheerful about it, but you've no idea how irritating it is.
Yes, I can see it must be very irritating. I'm very sorry.
Oh, when I irritate and weary you,
Of course you don't.
Oh, yes, I do. You're all so patient and so kind, but really you must long for me to die and set you free.
Anya, don't say these things. You know they're not true.
Nobody ever thinks of me. Nobody ever considers me. It was the same when you lost your chair at the university. Why did you have to take the Schultzes in?
They were our friends, Anya.
Oh, I know, but you didn't think of me. You never really liked Schultz or agreed with his views. When he got into trouble with the police, you should have just avoided them altogether. It would have been the only safe thing to do.
It was no fault of his wife and children. They were left destitute. Somebody had to help them.
It need not have been us.
But they were our friends, Anya. You cannot desert your friends when they are in trouble.
I know you can't, but you didn't think of me. The result of it was you were told to resign and we had to leave our home and our friends and come away to this cold, gray, horrible country.
Yeah, Anya.
It's not so bad for you, I dare say. They've given you a post at the university in London, and everything is the same for you as long as you have your books and your studies. But I'm ill.
I know, my dear.
And I have no friends here. I lie alone, day after day, with nothing to do, no one to speak to, and I drop the stitches.
There now, Anya.
Oh, you don't understand. You don't understand anything. You can't really care for me, or you would understand.
Of course I understand.
You're selfish. Really, selfish and hard. You don't understand anything.
Anya. Poor Anya.
Nobody ever considers me or thinks about me.
But poor Anya.
It's all very well to say poor Anya. Nobody cares about me.
Of course I care about you. I think about you all the time. I think about the day that I first saw you. You were all gaily embroidered and walled. We went up to the mountain to have a picnic. The narcissus were out. You took off your shoes and ran through the long grass. Remember? Such pretty little shoe.
I always did have small feet.
The prettiest feet in the world. The prettiest girl.
But now I'm faded and old and sick. No use to anyone.
You were the same Anya. Always the same. That'll be Dr. Stoner, I expect.
Do you mind if I please? It's a young lady to see you, sir.
I brought some of your books back. I thought you might be wanting
It's
them.
very kind of you. Darling, you remember Miss Rollander.
How are you, Mrs. Hendryk? I do hope you're feeling better.
I never feel better.
I'm sorry.
That'll be Dr. Stoner now.
Well, Karl, it's a lovely spring day.
Come in, Doctor. I'd like to word alone with you, Doctor.
Yes, of course. Well, Anya, it's a lovely spring day.
Is it?
Good afternoon, Miss Rollander.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Excuse us a moment.
Of course.
Oh, it's too hot for this time of year. Oh, so sick I was this morning I was falling out of bed. Oh, and about the tea, miss. I'll give a £1, shall I?
If you like. Tea. She always says that we need more tea, but we drink coffee.
I suppose these women always pinch things, don't they?
Yes. And they think that because we are foreigners, we shall not know. I'm afraid it must be very dull for you, Miss Rollander, with only me to talk to. Invalids are not very amusing company.
I really only came to bring back those books.
Ugh, look at this room. Books everywhere. Students come and take them and leave them, and then they take them away and read them and lose them. Oh, it's maddening. Quite maddening.
Can't be much fun for you.
Well, I wish I were dead, but it's true. I'm a nuisance and a bore to everyone. To my cousin Lisa and to my husband. Do you think that it is nice knowing one's a burden on everyone?
Do you?
I'd be better dead. Much better dead. It'd be quite easy. Just a little overdose of my heart medicine. And then everyone would be happy and free, and I'd be at peace. Why should I go on suffering?
be awful for you.
Oh, you don't understand. You're young, beautiful, and rich, and have everything that you want. And here am I, helpless, miserable, always suffering. And nobody cares. Nobody really cares.
Well, Anya, Karl tells me you're going into treatment. About 2 weeks' time.
It won't do any good. I'm sure of it.
Oh, now you mustn't say that. I was reading the most interesting article in the Lancet about the matter only 2 weeks ago. It's only an outline, but it still seems very promising. Our American cousins love to rush ahead. However, here, we're a little bit too afraid to commit ourselves.
I don't believe in it. It won't do any good.
Oh, now don't be in the misery. I'll have your weekly overhaul now. Make sure you're doing me credit as a patient.
I can't knit anymore, doctor. My hands shake so I drop stitches.
There's nothing in that, is there, Doctor?
No, nothing at all.
I'm afraid I must go out. I have a lecture at 4:30.
Are you angry with me for coming?
Of course I'm not angry. It was kind of you to return the books.
You are angry. You've been so brusque, so abrupt lately. What have I done to make you angry? You were really cross yesterday.
Of course I was cross. You say that you want to study, you want to learn and take your diploma, and then you do no work.
Well, I've been rather busy.
You're not stupid. You've got plenty of brains and intelligence, but you take no trouble. How are your German lessons coming along?
Oh, I haven't arranged about
But
them
you
yet.
must! You must! It is essential that you know how to read German. I give you books to read, and you read them improperly. I ask you questions, and your answers are superficial. You have not thought, or studied, or reflected. You must work, Helen. You must work.
Oh, but it's such a bore. Working.
But you were so eager to take your diploma.
The diploma can go to hell for all I care.
Then I don't understand you. You forced me to teach you. You made your father come to me.
I wanted to see you, to be near you. Are you quite blind, Karl? I'm in love with you.
What? My dear child,
Don't you like me a little bit?
you are a very desirable young woman, but you must forget this nonsense.
It's not nonsense. I tell you I love you. Why can't we be simple and natural about it all? I want you and you want me. You know you do. You're the kind of man I want to marry. Well, why not? Your wife's no good to you.
How little you understand. You speak like a child. I love my wife.
Oh, you take very good care of her. You bring her cups of bangers and all that. But that is love.
Isn't it? I think it is.
Of course you must see that she's properly looked after, but it needn't interfere with your life as a man. If we had an affair, your wife would even know about it.
My dear child, we are not going to have an affair.
I had no idea you were so straight-laced. I'm not a virgin, you know, if that's what you're worried about.
I don't love you.
You may go on saying that till you're blue in the face, but I don't believe you.
Because you don't want to believe it. But I tell you it's the truth. I love my wife. She's dearer to me than anyone in the world.
But why? I mean, what can she possibly give you? I could give you everything. Money for research or for whatever you wanted.
But you would still not be honest. Listen,
I dare say she was pretty and attractive once, but she isn't like that anymore.
she is. There's the same Anya still. We don't change. Life does things to us. Ill health, disappointment, exile. All of these things form a crust around the real self, but the real self is still very much there.
I think you're talking nonsense. If it were a real marriage, but it isn't.
It is a real marriage.
Oh, you're impossible.
You see, you speak like a child.
You are the child, wrapped in a cloud of sentimentality and pretense. You even humble yourself. If you had courage, now I've got courage, and I'm a realist. I'm not afraid to see things as they really are.
You are a child who hasn't grown up.
Oh, very satisfactory.
That's what he says about doctors and liars.
Karl, I have a consultation at 4:30. I can give you a ride if you would like.
Yes, that would be good, Doctor.
I'll be waiting in the car.
Karl. Forgive me, Karl.
Forgive you for what, dear?
For everything. For my moods, my bad temper. It isn't really me, Karl. It's just the illness. You do understand.
Of course I understand. Nothing you say could ever hurt me because I know your heart.
Well, you're going to be late for your lecture.
I wish I didn't have to leave you.
Oh, nonsense. Mrs. Roper will be back any moment, and she can take care of me until Lisa comes.
I can stay with Mrs. Hendryk until Mrs. Koletsky gets back.
Would you, Helen?
Of course.
It's very kind of you. Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Helen.
So, is Miss Koletsky a relation?
Yes, she's my first cousin. She came over with us to England and has stayed with us ever since. Right now, you see, she's visiting some friends at the Hotel Russell, not very far from here. It's very seldom that we see friends from our own country.
Would you like to go back?
You can't go back. You see, a friend of my husband's, another professor, fell into disgrace over his political views. He was arrested.
Really? How did that affect the professor?
Well, you see, his wife and children were left quite destitute, and the professor insisted that we should take them in. Of course, when he was forced to resign his position.
It didn't seem worth it, did it?
That's how I felt. I never liked Maria Schultz in the least. She was the most tiresome woman, always carping, criticizing about something or other. Oh, and the children. The children were so badly behaved and terribly destructive. It seems too bad that because of them, we had to leave our home and our friends and come here to this cold, gray, horrible country, practically as refugees. This will never be home.
It does seem rather tough luck on you.
Yes, but men don't think of that. They only think of their ideas of what is right or just or one's duty.
Oh, I know, such an awful bore, but men aren't realists like you and me.
Lisa forgot to give me my medicine. The way she forgets sometimes.
Can I do anything?
Would you? It's the little bottle up there, and a dropper. And there's a glass back here. 4 drops in water, please. But do be careful. It's very dangerous, you know. That's why they keep it so far out of reach. Sometimes I feel so terribly depressed, I feel like I should take an overdose and kill myself.
You often want to, I suppose?
Oh, yes. One often does feel that one would be better dead.
Yes, I can understand that.
But of course, one must be brave and go on.
Here you are.
Thank you. Oh, it. Yes. Oh. Thank you. does work too much. He takes in far too many pupils than he ought to. I really do wish that he could have an easier life.
Perhaps someday you will have.
Oh, I doubt it. He's far too patient, good, so full of kindness, so good to me. Whew. What is it? I can't seem to catch my breath. Are you sure that
I gave you the right dose.
oh, I didn't mean that you... How strange. How very strange.
Mrs. Hendryk? Mrs. Hendryk?
Oh, I got the tea, and I got the bacon, and I got a few more bags for the professor. Oh, he was right out again. Oh, don't they carry on. Oh, I tried to get some more kidneys for young Muriel's supper. 10 pence each. They were in the like little shrunken heads. Oh, she'll have to have what the others haven't like it. Oh, I keep telling her, money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, yes, yes, that's it. Money doesn't grow on trees.
Have I been long, Anya? I'll leave you.
Oh, I didn't hear you come in, miss.
I didn't know you were here, Mrs. Roper.
Is everything all right?
Mrs. Hendryk, I think Mrs. Hendryk is dead.
Well, that's over.
I've never been to an inquest in this country before. Are they always like that?
They vary, they vary.
It seems so businesslike, so unemotional.
You don't go much in for emotion on these routine business inquiries.
Wasn't a rather odd sort of verdict? It said she died from an overdose of stroke victim. But they didn't say how it was administered. I thought they said suicide, being that the balance of mind was impaired, and I'm down with it.
I cannot believe that Anya would have committed suicide.
I should not have said so either.
All the same, the evidence was pretty clear. Her fingerprints were found on her bottom and on her glass.
It must have been some sort of accident. Her aunt shook a great deal, you know. She probably poured in far more than she realized. The curious thing is I don't remember leaving the glass and bottle beside her, which I suppose I must have done.
It was my fault. I should have given him the drops before I went out.
No, it's no one's fault. Nothing is more unprofitable than to blame oneself for something that should have been done or shouldn't have been done. Now these things happen, and they're very sad. Now let's leave it at that. If we can.
You don't think she took an overdose deliberately, do you, Doctor?
I shouldn't have said so.
She did talk about it when she got depressed.
Nearly all chronic invalids talk of suicide, but they seldom commit it.
I say, I do hope I'm not butting in coming here. I expect you to want to be alone.
No, it was kind of you.
I just wish there was something I could do. I'd do anything. If there's anything I can do, say the word.
Your sympathy helps me, Lester. Anya was very kind, was very fond of you.
Oh, I brought some coffee and some little sandwiches. I thought, sir, I could help you keep your strength up.
Thank you, Mrs. Rover.
Oh, we hurried back from the inquest as fast as I could, so as to have things ready for you for when you come.
You went to the inquest then?
Well, of course I did. I thought I had an like poor dear lady, low in her spirits, wasn't she? I thought he'd go a sign of respect and nothing more. Although I can't say it was very nice, though, having all those police here asking questions.
Routine business inquiries must be made, Mrs. Rover.
Well, of course, sir.
Whenever a certificate cannot be filled out, there must be a coroner's inquiry.
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sure it's very right. But it's not very nice, that's what I say. And it's not what I've been accustomed to. Oh, my husband, he wouldn't like it at all if I were to mix up in anything of that sort.
I do not see how you were mixed up in it in any way, Mrs. Rover.
Well, they asked me questions, didn't they? As to whether she was low on the kind, or whether she had thought of anything of the sort.
Well, that is all over now, Mrs. Rover. I don't think you need worry any further.
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ghouls, that's what all those women are. They're only ghouls. Nothing they enjoy more than sickness, death, and funerals. And I expect an inquest is an added joy.
It must have been an accident. It must have.
I don't know. It's not quite the same as your coffee, it's some idea.
I expected to be bullying hard for half an hour.
It was kindly meant.
I wonder.
Have a sandwich. Here, why don't you finish him up, my boy? Always so great your age.
Don't mind if I do.
Karl.
Oh, excuse me a moment. Yes, I'm coming.
He's terribly cut up, isn't he, Doctor?
Yes.
I don't mean cut up. I mean if... It's so difficult to understand what people feel like.
What are you trying to say, my boy?
What I mean is, poor Mrs. Hendryk, being an invalid and all that, I think that at times he'd be a bit impatient with her, or feel himself tied down. And you think that underneath it all, he'd be glad that he was free. But not a bit. He loved her. He really loved her.
Love is not all the glamour, sex appeal, and all the things that you young people are so sure it is. Sure, that's the showy flower. But love's the root. It's underground, out of sight. Not much to look at, but it's where the life is.
I suppose so. But passion doesn't last long, does it?
God give me strength. You young people know nothing of these things. You read in the paper all the time of divorces, of love tangles, of the sex angles, of everything. Study the columns of death for a change. Plenty of records there. Emily this, and John that, dying in their 74th year. Beloved wife of so-and-so. Beloved husband of someone else. Unassuming records of lives spent together, sustained by the root that I just spoke of. Still putting out its flowers, not showy flowers, but flowers nonetheless.
I suppose you're right. I always thought that marriage was taking a bit of a chance. That is, of course, unless you meet a girl.
Yes, that's the right now. You meet a girl who's different.
But really, sir, she is different.
Good luck to you, then, my boy.
Doctor, I would like you to give this to your daughter, Doctor. It was Anya's, and I'm sure she'd love for Margaret to have it.
Yes, Anya, Margaret will appreciate this very much. I must be going. Can't keep my surgery patients waiting.
Yes, of course.
I'll go too. If you're sure there isn't anything else I can do for you.
Actually, there is. Lisa's been putting some parcels of clothing and things together. She plans to send them to the East London Mission. If you could help her carry them to the post
Of course I
office.
Right, Karl.
Bye, Doctor.
If you would look through these, Karl, just sit down here, go through these, divide them alone. It has to be done, the sooner the better.
How wise you are, Lisa. One puts these things off and dreads them. Dreads the hurt. As you say, it is better to do it and finish.
Come along, Lester.
So long ago. So very long ago. Go away, whoever you are.
Would you come inside, please? It's Miss Rollander to see you, sir.
I do hope I'm not being a nuisance. I went to the inquest to see, and afterwards I felt I must come on here and speak to you. But if you'd rather I went away...
No, it was very kind of you.
Oh, I'll get the tea, shall I?
Yes, of course, Mrs. Roper.
Oh, I see what you're doing, sir. Oh, in a sad business, it always is. My sister now, she's a widow. Kept all her husband's letters, she did. What he wrote her from the Middle East. Oh, and she'll take them out and she'll cry all over them. Like as not. Oh, the heart doesn't forget, sir. That's what I say. The heart doesn't forget.
As you say, Mrs. Roper.
Must have been a terrible shock to you, sir, wasn't it? Oh, did you expect it?
No, I did not expect it.
I can't imagine how she came to do such a thing. I mean, it doesn't seem right, sir, not a point at all.
Didn't you say you were going out to get some tea, Mrs. Roper?
Oh, that's right, sir. I must hurry, sir, because like Marcia there, he closes at 12:30.
I was so sorry to hear.
Thank you.
Of course, she'd been ill a terribly long time. She must have gotten awfully depressed.
Did she say anything to you that day before you left her?
No, I don't think so.
But she was depressed and low spirits.
Yes, she was.
You went away and left her alone before Lisa returned.
I'm sorry about that. I'm afraid it didn't occur to me. I mean, she urged me not to stay, and well, as a matter of fact, I thought she wanted to be alone. Of course now.
No, I understand. I'm sure that if my poor darling had this in her mind, she would have urged you to go.
And really, it's the best thing that could have happened, isn't it?
What do you mean, the best thing that could have happened?
Well, for you, and for her as well. She wanted out of it all. Well, now she has.
I find it hard to believe that she did want out of it all.
But she said so. She couldn't have been happy.
Sometimes she was very happy.
Oh, but she couldn't have been, knowing she was a burden on you.
She was never a burden on me.
Oh, why must you be so hypocritical about it all? To be tied to a querulous invalid is a drag on any man. Now you're free. You can do anything. Aren't you ambitious?
I think not.
Oh, but you are. You are. I've heard people talk about you. I've heard people say that book of yours was the most brilliant of the century.
Fine words, indeed.
And they were people who knew. And you've had offers, too. To go to the United States, to all sorts of places. But you turned them down because of your wife, whom you couldn't leave. Oh, you've been tied so long you hardly know what it feels like to be free. Wake up, Karl, wake up. You did the best you could for Anya, and now it's all over. You can finally live life the way it really ought to be lived.
Is this a sermon you're preaching me, Helen?
It is only the present and future that matter now.
The present and the future are made up of the past.
You're free. Why should we go on pretending we don't don't love each other anymore.
I don't love you, Helen. You must get that through your head. I don't love you. You're living in a fantasy of your own making.
I'm not.
You are. I hate to be brutal, but I've no feelings for you of the kind that you imagine.
Oh, but you must have. You must. After all that I've done for you, some people wouldn't have had the courage, but I did. I loved you so much that I couldn't bear to see you tied to that querulous woman any longer. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? I killed her, Karl. Now do you understand? I killed your wife.
You killed... I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm not ashamed of it. People who are useless and tiresome should be removed, so as to make room for those who really matter.
You killed Anya.
She asked for her medicine. I gave her the whole bottle full.
You.
Oh, there's no need to worry. Nobody will ever know. I thought of everything. I wiped off the fingerprints of the bottle and the glass, and I put her hands around each. So everything is all right, you see.
You killed Anya.
I really never meant to tell you. And now that we're here together, I just can't bear for there to be any secrets between us.
You killed Anya.
Oh, yes, but if you once got used to the idea...
You killed Anya! You miserable, immature child! What have you done, prating so glibly of your courage and your resources? You killed my wife, my Anya! Do you understand what you've done, talking of things you don't understand? Without pity, without courage, without conscience. I could take you by the neck, string you here and now! I'll kill you! I'll kill you! Get out! Get out! Get out! Before I do to you what you did to Anya! Get out!
I'm back, Karl. I met Helen downstairs. She looks very strange.
Anya.
What?
She killed Anya.
But
Anya asked for medicine. The miserable child gave her an overdose delivery.
Anya's fingerprints were on the glass.
Helen put them there after she was dead.
See, she thought of everything.
I always knew that Anya wouldn't have committed suicide.
She's in love with you, of course.
Yes, but I never gave her any reason to believe that I cared for her. I didn't, Lisa. I swear I didn't.
Oh, I don't suppose you did. She's the kind of woman who would think that whatever she wanted must be so.
Poor, brave Anya.
What are you going to do about it?
Do?
Aren't you going to call the police?
Tell the police.
It's murder, you know.
Yes, it was murder.
But then you must report what she said to the police.
I can't do that.
Why not? Do you condone murder?
I can't let that girl.
We've come here of our own accord as refugees to a country where we live under protection of its laws. I think we should respect its law, no matter what our own opinions on the subject may
You
be.
really think I should go to the police?
Yes!
Why?
It seems to me pure common sense.
Common sense. Common sense. Can one rule one's life by common sense to feel pity? Can mercy ever be
It
wrong?
can lead to a lot of unhappiness.
One must be willing to suffer for one's principles.
Perhaps that's your business, but other people suffer for them as well. Anya suffered for them.
I know, but you don't understand.
I understand very well.
What do you want me to do?
I have told you, go to the police. Anya has been murdered. This girl admitted to murdering her. The police must be told.
But don't you haven't thought, Lisa. That girl is so young, she's only 23.
Whereas Anya was 38.
She is tried and condemned. What good can it do? Can it bring Anya back? Don't you see, Lisa, revenge can't bring Anya back to life again.
No, Anya is dead.
Wish you could see it my way.
I can't see it your way. I loved Anya. We were cousins and friends. We went about as girls together. I looked after her when she was ill. I know how she tried to be brave, how she tried not to complain. I know how difficult life was for her.
But going to the police won't bring Anya back. And don't you see, Lisa, I'm bound to feel responsible. I must have in some way encouraged the girl.
You didn't encourage her. Let's face it. She did her utmost to seduce you, and failed.
No matter how you put it, I still feel responsible. Love for me was her motive.
Her motive was to get what she wanted, and she has always got everything she wanted her entire life.
Which is just what has been her tragedy. She never had a chance.
And she's young and beautiful.
What do you mean?
I wonder if you'd be so tender if she were one of your plain girl students.
You can't think
What can't I think?
that I want that girl.
Why not? Aren't you attracted to her? Be honest with yourself. Are you sure you're not really a little in love with the girl?
You can say that. Dude, when you've always known that it's you I love. At home.
Lisa, why are you sitting alone here in the dark?
I was just thinking.
Me and Karl met on the street and came along together. You and I prescribed for you, Karl. A little bit of alcohol. He's had a shock and that.
I told him about Helen.
Yes, he told me.
It's not been such a shock to you, I gather.
I'm worried now. Anya never seemed like the suicidal type. In the inquest, I just grabbed my suspicions even further. Kept questioning me very closely. I could tell exactly what they were getting at. Although they never exactly said what they were getting at.
So you were not surprised.
No, I wasn't. That young lady believed she could get away with anything, even murder. Well, she was wrong.
You think you should go to the police?
Yes. No. Because you insist on feeling partially responsible. Karl, you're too sensitive.
Poor wretched child.
Callous murdering little bitch is near the mark. Oh well. 10 to 1 it'll never come to an arrest. There's got to be evidence, you know. The police can be very well sure they think you did something, but they can't prove anything if they don't have any evidence. Your father is one of the richest men in England. Now that counts.
That is where I think you're wrong.
No, I'm not saying anything against the policing system. All I'm saying is we're going to have to scrutinize their evidence down to the very last shred. Unless she just breaks down and confesses, but she seems much too hard-boiled for that.
She confessed to me, didn't she?
Well, that's different. I don't see why, though. It's a damn silly thing to do.
Because she was proud of it.
You think so?
It's true. That's what's so terrible. Who's that?
Oh, it's probably one of your boys or girls. I'll get rid of them for you.
Could I speak to Professor Hendryk, please?
Yes, I'm right this way. It's Detective Inspector Ogden to see you.
Oh. I hope we're not disturbing you. Of course not. Good evening, Miss Koletsky. I expect you didn't think you would see me again, but unfortunately we have a few more questions to ask. There was no converter to understand. Insufficient evidence as to how the deceased lady came to take the fatal dose.
Yes, I know.
Have your own ideas changed since we first talked about it, Professor?
No. I still believe it must have been some sort of accident.
But definitely not suicide.
Definitely not suicide.
We were quite right as to that sort. It was not suicide.
How do you know?
By evidence that was not given at the inquest. Evidence is the fingerprints found on the bottle contained the fatal drug, and on the glass also.
But they were my wife's fingerprints, weren't they?
Oh, yes, sir. They were your wife's fingerprints. But she didn't make them.
What do you mean?
It's the sort of thing an amateur criminal thinks is so easy to pick up a person's hand and grasp around a bottle or a gun, or whatever the case may be. But actually, it's not so easy to do. The position on your wife's fingerprints were made such that a living person could not have made them. That means that somebody else picked up your wife's hand and grabbed them around the bottle to give the impression that she herself committed suicide. A rather childish piece of reasoning done by someone rather cocksure of their own ability. Also, there ought to have been plenty of other fingerprints on the bottle, but there weren't. Had been wiped clean before your wife's fingerprints were applied. Do you see what this means?
Yes, I see what it means.
There would have been no reason to do such a thing if it was an accident. That leaves only one possibility.
Yes.
I wonder if you do see, sir. It means an ugly word. Murder.
Murder?
Does that seem very incredible to you, sir?
You cannot know how incredible. My wife was a sweet and gentle woman. It will always seem to me both terrible and unbelievable that someone should have killed her.
You, yourself?
Are you accusing me?
Of course not, sir. If I had any reason to believe you were involved, you would have been properly warned. No, Professor Hendryk, your story checks out. You left in the company of Dr. Stoner, and he claims that there was no medicine bottle or glass on your wife's table at the time. Between the time you left and the time Miss Koletsky says she arrived to find your wife dead, your time is fully accounted for. You were at the university lecturing to a group of students. And no, I'm not accusing you of being the one to remove the fingerprints from the glass. What I'm asking you, Professor Hendryk, is whether you have any idea who could have done so.
I cannot help you.
You understand that this alters things. I was wondering if I may have a look around the flats, preferably Mrs. Hendryk's room. I can get a search warrant if necessary, but...
Of course, look anywhere you please. My wife's bedroom is through there.
Thank you.
Lisa's been sorting through her things.
Karl! I've known you long enough to tell you plainly that you're being a fool.
I can't be the one to put them on her trail. We'll get her soon enough without
I'm not so sure of that. It's all a bunch of half-believed
She
nonsense.
didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know what she was doing because life hasn't yet taught her understanding and compassion.
Are you making assistance yet?
No. Are you cold?
No, I'm not cold. I'm afraid. Give me some coffee.
I wish I could get you and Lisa to understand that revenge can't bring Anya back to life.
And what if our little beauty goes around killing all the professor's wives to stay in her way?
I won't believe that.
I gather some of your wife's belongings have already been disposed of.
Yes, they were sent off to the East London mission, I believe.
But what about papers and letters?
I was looking through them this morning, but what do you expect to find?
One never knows. Notes, memorandums set down.
I doubt it. Still, we'll leave them if we must. Will you be needing these? They're letters I wrote to my wife many years ago.
I'm afraid I must still include them.
I shall be in the kitchen if you want me.
Think he was in on it?
No, I don't. Not at first. I hadn't the slightest idea, I should say. He knows now. It's been a shock to him.
Well, he's not saying anything.
No, that would be too much to expect. He's not very much hurt either. Not likely to be under these circumstances.
Well, if there had been, how would Miss Malcolm know about it? I pegged her for Snoop. That kind knows all sorts of dirt. She'll enjoy spilling it as well.
An unpleasant woman.
She'll do just fine for witnessing.
Unless she overdoes it. Well, there's nothing additional here. Better get on with the job. Could you come in here, please? Miss Koletsky, there's some additional questions I would like to ask you. You understand you don't have to answer any at this time, please.
I do not want to answer any questions.
Perhaps you were wise. Lisa Koletsky, I arrest you under charge of administering poison to Anya Hendryk on March the 5th last. It is my obligation to warn you that anything you say may be written down and used in evidence.
What is this? What are you doing? What are you saying?
Professor Hendryk,
I-
don't have
I
a
did not
seat.
murder
But
my
you can
husband.
everything you want.
She's
to
done nothing.
Do you need a coat or a hat?
I need nothing.
Inspector Ogden, come back.
Wait in the hall, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Professor Hendryk?
I have something I must tell you. I know who killed my wife. It was not Miss Koletsky.
Who was it then?
It was a girl called Helen Rollander. She formed an unfortunate attachment to me as one of my pupils. She was alone with my wife on the day in question and gave her the fatal overdose in the heart accident.
How did you know this, Professor?
She told me herself this morning.
Indeed. Were there any other witnesses?
No, but I'm telling you the truth.
Helen Rollander, the daughter of Sir William Rollander?
Yes, her father is Sir William Rollander. He's very important. Does that make a difference?
It does not make a bit of difference, if your story were true.
But I tell you that it is true.
You're very devoted to Miss Koletsky, aren't you?
You think I would make up a story just to protect her?
I think it is quite possible. You are in terms of intimacy with Miss Koletsky.
What
aren't
do you mean?
Let me tell you, Professor Hendryk, that your daily woman, Mrs. Roper, came by the police station earlier this afternoon and made a statement.
So was Mrs. Roper.
It is partly because of that statement that Miss Koletsky has been arrested.
You think that she and I...
Your wife is an invalid. Miss Koletsky is a beautiful young woman. You were thrown together.
Do you think we planned together to kill my wife?
I don't think you planned it, no. I may be wrong there, of course. I think all the planning was done by Miss Koletsky. There's a prospect of your wife regaining her health owing to new treatment. I believe Miss Koletsky was taking no chance in that happening.
But I tell you, it was Helen Rollander.
You tell me, yes. Is it plausible that a girl like Helen Rollander's got the world at her feet, who hardly knows you, would do such a thing like that? A story of that kind reflects little credit upon you, Professor Hendryk.
Listen.
Trumping it up on the spur of the moment because you think it cannot be contradicted.
Listen, go to Helen. Tell her that another woman is being arrested for the murder. Tell her that I know. No, she's honest and decent. I swear to you, she'll confirm what I've told you.
You've found it up very cleverly, haven't you?
What do you mean?
What did I say? But there's no need.
Told him.
He knows because you told him.
I believe it to be the truth. We left Helen alone with Mrs. Hendryk on the day in question. She was keeping her company.
Kind offer on her part. We interviewed Miss Rollander at the time, and I see no reason to doubt her story. She stayed with Mrs. Hendryk for a while, then was asked to leave when she felt tired.
Listen, go to Helen. Tell her what has happened. Tell her what I've asked you to tell her.
Just when did Professor Hendryk tell you this? Within the last hour, I would imagine.
That's so.
We met on the street.
Didn't it strike you that if this was true, he would have come to us immediately as soon as she admitted to what she had done?
He's not that kind of man.
I don't think you're truly aware of what kind of man he really is. He's a quick and clever thinker, and not over-scrupulous. This is your code evening paper, I see.
Yes, I bought it at the corner before I came up, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm quite sure.
I think you did. Sir William Rollander's only daughter, Helen Rollander, is the victim of a regrettable accident this morning. In crossing the road, she was knocked down by a lorry. The lorry driver claims that she gave him no time to brake as she walked straight into the road, not looking left or right, and was killed instantly. I think that when you read that, Professor Hendryk, you saw a girl who could never refute what you said. Because she was dead.
No! These reporters never stop.
Wish I'd stayed in court. Why didn't you let me stay?
Lisa especially asked you to come back here with the lawyers and let us know.
You could have stayed.
She wanted me to be with you.
They can't find her guilty. They just can't.
If you'd like me to go back there, no, that's you stay here.
Just wish there was something I could do.
Keep answering that damn telephone that keeps ringing.
Yes, my dear boy, stay. Your presence here helps me.
I'm glad to hear it.
They must. They will acquit her. I cannot believe that innocence can go unrecognized.
Can't you? I can. One's seen it often now. And you, Karl, you've seen it time and time again. Mind you, I do think she made a good impression on the jury.
But the evidence was pretty damnable. It's that frightful Rover things she said.
She believed what she was saying. That's what made her so unshakable in the cross-examination bar. It's really particularly unfortunate. She came in here to see Lisa only with a glass of blood fingers. To see that she even saw you two thrown together like you were. She did see that, I suppose.
Yes, she must have. It was true. It's the first time I've ever kissed Lisa.
Particularly bad time to choose to do so. It's 1,000 pities she never saw or heard anything that went on between you and Helen. Very nice girl. That's all she had to say about it.
If only I'd gone to the police right away.
Oh, if
Well,
only
she
you
told me.
had. If only you had. It's particularly unfortunate that you only came out with the story after picking up that newspaper that announced her death. And your reasons for not going to the police weren't credible in the least. Of course they were to me, because I know the incredible fool you are. The whole situation is thoroughly damnable. The rebel woman coming to find Lisa, holding the glass in blood fingers, has just built itself up in the most incredible fashion.
Yes? Hello? Go to hell!
Ghouls, that's what they are. They're all ghouls.
If they find her guilty, if they...
We're gonna kill you now.
Why should Lisa have to go through this? Why should she be the one to suffer? I wish I were in her place.
Yes, it's always easier when it's oneself.
And besides, I am partly responsible.
I have told you that's nonsense.
But Lisa has done nothing. Nothing. Don't answer. Leave me alone, can't you? Leave me alone.
Patience.
I can't bear it. I just can't bear it.
Patience, Cole. Courage.
What goes in saying that to me?
Not much. Nothing can help you now but courage.
Just keep thinking of Lisa, of what she must be going through.
I know.
So brave, so wonderfully brave.
This Lisa is a wonderful person.
I love her. Did you know I loved her?
Yes, you've loved her for a very long time.
Yes. We both knew, but we never acknowledged it. That doesn't mean I didn't love Anya. I did love Anya. I will always love Anya. I didn't want her to die.
Never doubted that.
It's odd, perhaps, but one can love two women at the same time.
It's not at all. It often happens. In fact, you know what Anya used to say to me? When I die, make sure that Karl marries Lisa. That's what she used to say after Karl. And if he doesn't think of it, put the idea into his head. That's what she would ask me, Karl, and I promised her that I would.
Tell me, Doctor, do you really think they will acquit her?
I think you ought to prepare yourself.
Even her counsel didn't believe me, did he? He pretended to, of course, but he didn't actually believe me.
No, he didn't. But I think there were at least two sensible people on that jury. That's what you were saying. Her husband probably went off on the rails with some young beauty. You never know what queer things influence people.
This time it must be.
Look.
Well?
He said,
No, I'm afraid he can't. Another one of the ghouls.
What can they hope to get out of it?
Increased circulation, I suppose.
I hope it's all right. It took me a while to find everything.
Thank you, Lester.
Have you ever seen herons flying low over a riverbank?
No, I don't think I have. Why?
No reason.
Put the idea into your head.
I have no idea. I guess I was just wishing we could be away from all this.
I can see that. It's so difficult being unable to do anything.
Nothing's as bad as waiting.
I don't think I've ever seen a heron.
Very graceful birds.
Doctor, I want you to do something for me.
Yes, of course.
I want you to go back to the court.
No, Karl.
I know you promised Lisa, but I want you to go back.
Karl,
If
Lisa.
the worst happens, I want Lisa to be able to see you there. And if it's not the worst, she'll need someone to protect her. Get her away. Bring her here. I know I'm right.
Very well.
I can stay and...
No, Lester, you come with me. There are times when a man has to be alone. Isn't that right, Karl?
Yes. I'd like to be left here alone with Anya. Why?
What did you say? With Anya?
Did I? Just see me? Yes, that's what it seems. Believe me, I shan't answer the phone if it rings, and I'll wait now until you return. While the light lasts, I shall remember. And in the darkness, I shall not forget.
it true?
They found me not guilty.
My darling, I'm so thankful. No one shall ever hurt you again.
No.
What do you mean?
I've come here to get my things.
What do you mean your things?
Just a few things that I need, that I'm going away.
What do you mean going away?
I'm leaving here.
But why? Because of what they'll say? Does that matter now?
You don't understand. I'm going away for good.
Going away, but where?
What does it matter? Somewhere. I can get a job. There'll be no difficulty about that. I may go abroad. I may stay in England. Wherever I go, I'm starting a new life.
A new life? You mean without me?
Yes, Karl, that's just what I mean without you.
Why?
Because I've had enough.
I don't understand you.
We weren't made to understand each other. We don't see things the same way, and I'm afraid of you.
How can you be afraid of me?
Because you're the kind of man who always brings suffering.
No.
It's true.
No.
I see people as they are, without illusions and without infinite malice, but without illusions either. I don't expect life to be wonderful or people to be wonderful, and I don't particularly want to be wonderful myself. If there are fields of amaranth, they can be on the other side of the grave as far as I'm concerned.
Fields of amaranth? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you, Karl. You put ideas first, not people. Ideas of loyalty and pity and compassion. But people matter, Karl. They matter as much as ideas. Anya mattered. I mattered. You knew you'd lose your job if you befriended the Schultzes, and you must have known what an unhappy life that would mean for Anya. But you didn't care about Anya. You only cared about your ideas of what was right. Because of your mercy, because of your ideas, because of your compassion for the girl who killed your wife. You sacrificed me. I was the one who paid for your compassion. But I'm not ready to do that anymore. I love you, Karl, but love isn't enough. You have more in common with the girl Helen than you have with me. She was like you, ruthless. She went all out for the things she believed in. She didn't care what happened to people so long as she got her own way.
You can't mean what you're saying. You can't.
I do mean it. I've been thinking it for a really long time. I've thought it all these days before. I didn't really think they'd acquit me. I don't know why they have. The judge didn't seem to think there was much reasonable doubt. But I suppose some of the jury must have believed me. There was this one little man who kept looking at me as though he was sizing me up. Just a commonplace, ordinary little man. But he looked at me and he thought I hadn't done it. Or perhaps he thought I was the kind of woman he'd like to go to bed with and he didn't want me to suffer. I don't know what he thought. But he was a person looking at another person. And he was on my side and practically persuaded the others. And so now, I'm free. I've been given a second chance to start life again. And I'm starting again, alone.
Lisa, you can't mean what you're saying. You can't be so cruel. You must listen, Lisa. I implore you.
No, Karl. What happens to the woman who loved you? Anya loved you, and she died. Helen loved you, and she's dead. I have been very near death. I'm not ready to do that anymore. I'm going away, and I want to be free of you forever.
Where will you go?
You told me to go away and marry and have children. Perhaps that's what I'll do. If so, I'll find someone like that little man on the jury. Someone who'll be human and a person like me. I've loved you for years and it's broken me. I've had enough. I'm going away and I shall never see you again.
Lisa!
Never.
Karl! Karl! Karl!
Have you heard, my lord? She's been acquitted. Oh, Lisa! So wonderful.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Let's have a look at you. You're thinner, just a little fine drawn, but that's only expected from what you've been through. What do you say we all go out tonight? Have a bottle of champagne.
No, thank you, Doctor.
Oh, you're right. You need your rest.
No, I'm all right. I must just get my things together.
Your things?
I'm not staying here.
Oh, perhaps you're wise at women like that Mrs. Roper about with their evil minds and tongues. But where will you go? To a hotel? No, no, no. Come stay with us. It's a small room, but we can make it. Margaret would be delighted to see you.
Thank you, but I have all my plans made. Tell Margaret that I will come and see her very soon.
Anything wrong, Karl?
What should be wrong?
You're right. He's been through a terrible ordeal, you know. Takes a little while to get used to it all. All the time we spent in here. Waiting, wishing, fearing. And now, it's all over.
Yes, all over.
No decent jury could have convicted him. I told you so. You so seem half dazed in the news yourself. Karl, snap out of it. We've got our Lisa back. Oh, I'm clumsy. It takes a little while to get used to joy.
I'll be going now.
I'll get a taxi for you.
No, thank you, but I'd rather be alone. Thank you, Doctor, for all you've done, for all you did for Anya. You've been a good friend. I shall never forget.
Karl, there's something wrong.
Lisa is going away.
Yes, temporarily, but she'll be back.
No, she's not coming back.
What do you mean?
She is not coming back.
You mean that you parted?
You saw her go. That was our party.
But why?
It seemed she had had enough.
Talk sense.
It's very simple. She has suffered. She doesn't want to suffer anymore.
Why should she suffer?
It seems I'm a man who brings suffering to those who love him.
It's nonsense.
Is it? Anya loved me and she is dead. Helen loved me and she died.
Did Lisa say that?
Yes. Am I really such a man? Do I bring suffering to those who love me? What did she mean when she spoke of fields of amaranth?
Fields of amaranth. Just read it here.
Leave me.
I'd like to stay.
I must get used to being alone.
You don't think
She will not be coming back. There are no fields of amaranth this side of the grave. There is no voice, however tuneful, that will not soon mute. There is no name with whatever emphasis of passionate love repeated, of which the echo is not faint at last. Lisa, how will I ever live without you?